Hi, and welcome to my presentation on theoretical perspectives and learning environments. In this presentation, we're going to focus on three different theoretical perspectives on learning and the brain. We're going to focus on behaviorism, constructivism, and cognitivism. Just as an introduction, it is important for us as educators to understand different learning theories. These learning theories really help us understand how the brain processes information, and we can relate these learning theories into what we do in the classroom. This presentation is really going to talk about how behaviorism, constructivism, and cognitivism can all be adapted in different learning environments, such as face-to-face, blended, and virtual learning models. The first behavior theory we're going to talk about is behaviorism. Each learning theory has a video embedded somewhere within that learning theory. I'm going to skip over the video for this presentation, but please feel free to go back to watch the video. Behaviorism is most commonly associated with Pavlov and his salivating dogs. And I think that this picture kind of is a great introduction into that. And this is our first video, and it goes over the history of behaviorism. It's just a quick 4-minute video, and it kind of gives you the background of different theorists that contributed to behaviorism, such as Pavlov and Skinner. Behaviorism focuses on two different types of conditioning, classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is kind of like what we do in the classroom, where we teach students to associate a stimulus with as a reward. So a lot of times we might think of like stickers or incentives, and kids kind of become conditioned to work for those rewards. Operant conditioning is both reinforcements and punishments. And it can definitely be applied in most learning environments. It's that cycle of stimulus, answer, reinforcement. Some examples of how behaviorism can be incorporated into virtual blended instruction is programmed instruction, where students are provided a stimulus. They are reinforced either saying they got the right answer or the incorrect answer, and then they keep proceeding through the instruction. A lot of programmed instruction adapts to the students' levels so that they're constantly getting reinforced with whether they have the correct or incorrect answer, hopefully correct, and that inspires them to keep moving forward within the program. Also reinforcement programs like math drills, reading drills that are embedded online also provide that reinforcement and stimulus that students need. Also virtual games that students play, they get that reinforcement and that stimulus through those platforms as well. The next learning theory we're going to think about is constructivism. And the picture of the puzzle pieces of people putting together the puzzle pieces, that the essence of teamwork is really at the heart of constructivism. There's lots of people that contributed to constructivism. The idea of constructivism dates back to Greek philosophers. As time progressed, Dewey proposed that students engage in real-world practical workshops, and then Piaget coined the term constructivist, and then Vygotsky came and developed social constructivism. I think a lot of what we see in classrooms is constructivist theory. And here's another great video on the principles of constructivism and about how a lot of what constructivism focuses on is making sure learning is relevant and that it's within students' zones of proximal development, that students know that teachers are there to support them, but that students are also there to learn from the students around them, and they are learning through meaningful interactions. It's so important in the constructivist theory that learning is active, students are active, and that teachers are facilitating learning. I think that's one of the most important components in a constructivist learning environment is that teachers are facilitating learning. So teachers aren't just standing up in front of the class and saying, this is what you need to know, and you just need to know it. Students are being active in the learning process. They're talking with other students. They're developing their knowledge in a meaningful way within their zones of proximal development, which means that teachers aren't giving work that's beyond that student's capabilities, but also not something that's too easy. It's right in the middle, and students know that their teacher is there to support their learning. And examples of how the constructivist learning model or learning theory fits within a virtual blended learning environment, incorporating things like wikis or social media, which allows students to talk to each other and interact with each other while learning new material, is super important. Also, providing students with online models so students have another way to receive support when they come across something that they're not sure of. It is right in line with that constructivist learning model. The last learning theory we're going to review today is cognitivism. And cognitivism is known as the black box theory. So cognitivism focuses on how students learn and what we can do to kind of tap into their brain. A study of thinking by Brenner, Goodnow, and Austin was one of the most important pieces of literature focusing on cognitivism. It talked a lot about kind of like the executive functioning skills that students need in order to be successful students and what teachers can do to kind of bring those skills to the forefront and focus on them. And then here's another great video that discusses what cognitivism is. And it talks a lot about how cognitivism focuses on different kinds of learning. And it talks a lot about a big comparison in cognitivism is comparing the brain to a computer. And in learning environments that have a cognitivism approach, the students are encouraged to rethink what they feel that they already know. So it's constantly challenging students to go beyond what they think they already know and explore more. Definitely it builds upon that students' prior knowledge. A lot of it is activating what students know. Some of it is based on like students come in with preconceived notions into our classrooms, and cognitivism is about challenging those preconceived notions and really making students justify why they believe and providing proof and evidence of why what they believe is correct. And technology can be used to help students understand how they learn best. So this goes a lot in line with providing students, especially students who might have special needs and might need assistive technology, those tools so that they can demonstrate that they're learning. So in conclusion, while these three learning theories can be used to meet different learners' needs, it's really important that as an educator, we kind of take an inventory of what the diverse learners in our classroom need and build from there. It's okay to kind of take bits and pieces from learning theories and kind of mesh them. It's also important to try to use these theories to progress our teaching and see how we can incorporate these theories to more virtual instruction learning environments. Thank you for viewing my presentation. Have a great night.